You're live.
Hello, everyone. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the third session of Android Study Jams. And my name is Dhruv, and I am the Android lead and also the facilitator. And I
Hi
am
everyone.
also now,
Yeah,
Vishesh, you can also,
yeah.
introduce yourself.
Hi everyone. My name is Yashish Tripathi, and I'm the Android co-lead of GDSC VIT Bhopal. And I would like to welcome you all to the third session of Android Study Jams.
So now we are in the third session, and I hope everybody knows that what Android Study Jams exactly are. But again, I would like to tell you that Android Study Jams are a community-based study groups, sessions, workshops that we are conducting, and we have been conducting in the past two sessions as well. Here we are helping you in kickstarting your journey with modern Android application development using Kotlin programming language, and we have covered a lot of part, and today also we are going to further go into seeing what Android development has for us. Now, the two main things that you required for this Android Study Jams thing is, first of all, the course that we are covering is Android Basics in Kotlin course. The link of the course you can find in the description and in the chat everywhere. And we are also sharing the links of this course. You can even search this on Google. So this course is given by Google, and we request you and we tell you to complete this course because it gives a very beginning help to you for Android development. Now, along this course, you will be earning some badges, and that badges you can showcase them on your Google developer profile. And so that you need to create a Google developer profile, and the how to create this Google developer profile we have already talked in detail. We also have a video of that in our YouTube channel of GDSCVIT Bhopal. You can look into that. So these two things are the main prerequisite for Android study jams in general. Now, talking about prerequisites, now the prerequisites for this particular session is, so first of all, like we last time we talked about material design, we talked about views, we talked about layouts. So you must know that how to set these up in your XML. This is the basic prerequisite. Another thing is knowing about function, objects, classes that we covered in the session one, because all these things will be coming around today because we'll be practically now completing our app which we started in the last session. Another thing is like working with Android Studio. You should know how to work with Android Studio, and to test your apps you must either you have an emulator or you can have your Android device and connect it with the USB cable. That we leave it on you. So now, Vishesh, you can take from here and we
Yeah.
can start.
Thank you, Dhruv. So today we would be starting up with the navigation architecture component. In the previous session, we talked about a lot of things related to navigation. And navigation is one of the most important thing when it comes to Android applications. Navigating from one screen to another screen is a very major part. So navigation refers to the interaction that allows users to navigate across, into, and back out from the different pieces of content within our application. So Android Jetpack's navigation components help you implement navigation really easily. Now, coming to Jetpack navigation, it is a whole part in one architecture. From simple button clicks to more complex patterns, such as app bars or navigation drawers. Then the navigation component also ensures a consistent and predictable experience by adhering an established set of principles. Now, if you look at this model, this particular pic that I've put in this slide, you can see the navigation architecture component in use. Now, looking at what is basically a navigation architecture. So navigation component consists of three key parts. So these are the three key parts. Do remember them because when Dhruv is going to teach you all in the Android Studio, you would need those memory. So navigation graph, an XML resource that contains all the navigation related information in one centralized location. It's like just like a data structure graph if you have studied about it. This includes all of the individual content areas within your app called destinations, as well as possible paths that a user can take through the app. Now you can imagine a graph like a normal graphical structure, but instead of those dots you can connect them to the pages. This particular page is going to take me this to the third particular page, from third to second, from second to fourth, then fourth to first, something like this. This is a whole architecture like a web, you can imagine like this. Now you must be thinking, how can we do that? You can see these three simple steps to implement a navigation graph to in your project. In the project window, simply right click on the directory and select new Android resource file. From there, you just need to select a new resource file appears. Now type a name in the file and such as nav underscore graph or anything you want, and select navigation from the resource type down list, and you're good to go. Now the second thing I would like to tell you is nav host, an empty container that displays destination from your navigation graph. The navigation components contains a default nav host implementation that displays fragment destinations. And this is the best part. Now I'm coming to that is navigation control. It is known as nav control. And believe me, either it's Jetpack Compose or the basic an Android app made using XML, nav control is the most important part when it comes to navigation. An object that manages app navigation within a nav host. The nav controller orchestrates the swapping of destination content in the nav host as the users move throughout the app. You can imagine it's something like this, swapping again and again all the destinations that your application wants to reach every time you click on a particular action or intent. So this was about navigation architecture components. Do remember these three: navigation graph, nav host, and nav control. Now let's move to view model overview. This is all part of Android Jetpack. Just remember this, so that whenever you want to study that in detail, you simply can search in Android Jetpack. So in this system, if the system destroys or recreate a UI controller, just imagine any transient UI related data you store them is lost. For example, your app may include a list of users in one of its activities. When the activity is recreated for a configuration change, the new activity has to refetch the list of users. For simple data, the activity can use the onSave instance state method and restore its data in the bundle that is known as onCreate. Now you must be thinking, Vishesh, what is this onSave instance or what is this onCreate? These are all functions that are defined in View Model Overview. You would see them in detail when it comes to Android Studio part. But this approach is only suitable for small amounts of data that can be serialized and then deserialized. Not for potentially large amount of data. You must be thinking like a list of users of bitmaps, not something like that. For simple data, believe me, view model overview is the best thing. You can see in the diagram which is displayed here that the data is being fetched continuously. Hence, you don't need to refetch it again and again once you have a simple data stored in it. Now, if you look at the life cycle of a view model objects are nothing very complicated, but are scoped to the life cycle passed to the view model provider. Who, when getting the view model remains in memory. It doesn't fade away directly. It remains in the memory until the life cycle is it's scoped to go away permanently. In this case of an activity, when it finishes, while in the case of a fragment, when it's detached. So not a problem. If you have got something deleted, it won't directly fade away. It would go away slowly. It would remain in the memory until it goes away permanently slowly. Now, this particular figure illustrates the various life cycle states of an activity as it undergoes a rotation and then is finished. The illustration also shows the lifetime of a view model next to the associated activity lifecycle. If you remember, in the previous session, we talked about activity lifecycle, and I told you how important it is. Just like an ordinary butterfly lifecycle is an lifecycle of intent. For reminder, I would just give you another example. You can imagine I click on a button, an intent, and an activity starts. What are the actions? It starts, it is paused, it resumes, it is finished, it is destroyed. Something like this. This particular diagram illustrates the states of an activity. The same basic states apply to the life cycle of a fragment. You can see when you look at this state that there is almost the same number of steps applied, but in a different form. Nothing very unusual. Now, let's talk about data binding library when we are talking about data. Because how can we stop talking about Android data until we have talked about this particular library? The expression languages of this library allows you to write expressions that connect variables to the views in the layout. The data binding library automatically generate classes to bind the views in the library with your data objects. You can imagine it's something like an automation for making the classes, for generating the classes of your data. The library provides features such as imports, variables, and includes that you can use in your layouts. So these features of the library coexist seamlessly with your existing layouts. For example, that binding variables that can be used in expressions are defined inside a data element that is a sibling of the UI layout's root element. But remember, both the elements are wrapped in a layout tag, as you can as I have shown in the example. If you look at this example closely, you would realize that the layouts are other often defined in activities with code that calls UI framework methods. You can see first we defined a particular variable, then we define the name, the type of that, and we are done with the data wrap. We are wrapping it up inside all the components we have described. Now let's look at live data overview. The live data considers an observer. You can imagine something like this. This is the data binding library, and the live data is continuously observing it, storing the amount of data that is required, which is represented by the observer class. As you have seen in the data binding library, we are using a data class. This here we can use an observer class to be in activity state, that if its life cycle is in the started or resume state, the live data only notifies active observers about updates. So if you look at the inactive observers registered to watch live data objects that notified about changes. Now you can look at an example, a very simple example. Suppose continuous data is being fetched here in the data binding library. The live data overview just replicate things so that the live data fetching is easy. You are continuously taking data when it comes to production. You don't stop at a particular stage. You're continuously fetching data to make your application more better. So you can register an observer paired with an object that implements the lifecycle owner interface. The relationship allows the observer to be removed when the state of the corresponding lifecycle object changes to destroyed. So it's quite easy when you try to understand it using the activity lifecycle part. That when it starts fetching the data quickly, but when it stops, the activity is destroyed. The lifecycle of that particular object is destroyed. It stops doing that. This is especially useful for activities and fragments because they can safely observe live data objects and not worry about any leaks. Activities and fragments are instantly unsubscribed when their life cycles are destroyed. So it's quite easy. Now let's talk about coroutines. So this is not only something that is valuable to Android development, but also if you are doing multi-platform development using Kotlin, because Kotlin as a language provides only minimum low-level APIs. The reason we are using Kotlin over Java in Android development is to make things easier and faster. And that is why coroutines are here. They make your life super easy in Android development. Kotlin's concept of suspending functions provide a safer and less error-prone abstraction for asynchronous operations than future and promises. So this library, that is Kotlin X.coroutines, is a very rich library for coroutines developed by Richard Prince. It is one of my favorite library when it comes to backend development using Kotlin. It contains a number of high-level Kotlin coroutine enabled primitives that this guide covers, including launch, async, and others. Now, if you want to just see an example, this is an example. You define a function for main using the brute force we used in Kotlin playground, if you remember it. Now, inside this, we are defining a function run block. Now, what is run blocking? I would tell you in detail. This is like a coroutine scope. Inside that, we are launching another one, that is launch. What it does, launch a new coroutine and continues. Now we are launching another one, delay, but this is inside a small bracket, that is 1000L. This is a non-blocking delay for 1 second default time running, and we are printing world, that is after the delay. And after that we print hello. The main coroutine continues while a previous one is delayed. So what we get, hello world, because of that 1000 1 second, 1 second of that world hello, not but hello world. Now you must be thinking, what have I talked about? So let's talk about this whole function in detail. A coroutine is an instance of suspendable computation. So it is a conceptual similar to a thread if you have studied in Java, in the sense that it takes a block of code to run that works concurrently with the rest of code. You don't need to stop. However, a coroutine is not bound to a particular thread. It may suspend its execution in one thread and resume in another one. So let's discuss the code which is written here. What is launch? So launch is a coroutine builder. It launches a new coroutine concurrently with the rest of the code, which continues to work independently. That's why hello has been printed fast, not the world one. This is the reason I was telling you that please pay attention why hello was printed before world. This was the reason launch. Now delay, it is a special suspending function. It suspends the coroutine for a specific time. Now you must be thinking why it is used. You can imagine like that. When you are on a particular activity, you are expecting this particular pop-up to appear after this function. Simply put, delay because it would suspend your coroutine function for a specific time. Just define the period of time. So suspending a coroutine does not block the underlying thread, but it is something like that. It allows you to run other coroutines first and then use it. Now coming to the next part, which is run blocking. What is run blocking? So it is also a coroutine builder that bridges the non-coroutine world of a regular fun main and the code with coroutines inside this run blocking. It is like something run blocking under the main function. This is highlighted in the IDs by after the declaration of the main function. Now, if you forget or remove the run blocking in this code, you will get an error on the launch call since launch is only declared in the coroutine scope. Because why? You must be thinking why it is like that. Because launch is a coroutine builder. And how can you run a coroutine builder without running block? So it's important for you to run inside that. So the name of the running block means that the thread that runs it gets blocked for the duration of the call until all the coroutines inside run blocking complete their execution. That is the reason we get hello world. I hope you have got an idea of what these coroutines are and how awesome and fast they are. Now, best practices to coroutines. I would recommend you to please learn coroutines because they're really awesome and they would make your Android development more fast. Now, these particular links would be available in the chat section. I'm in the chat section. All the links would be there. I want you to go through them in a chronological order. That is coroutines guide, then basics, then channels, and then coroutine context and dispatchers, the shared mutable state in concurrency, and then in sequence flow. You would get idea about every part of coroutine, starting from the very basic to the very advanced part of Android development. So we are done with coroutines, I guess. Now, the last part I want to cover is getting, I guess the second last part, I'm sorry, getting data from internet. It's not something like that. Whenever you start coding or whenever you start with an Android application, you have every data in your local machine. You also get some data from internet, maybe through Azure, Google Cloud, AWS, anything it can be. They generate REST APIs for you to fetch data, personalized or private REST APIs. So two popular ways of fetching data from the internet are as following. Number one is getting data from HTTPIs and REST APIs, as I already told you. And the number two is simply loading content from internet. It's not that tough. But we would first talk about getting data from HTTPs and REST API. So you can read all that is written in this slide. It tells you everything in detail. But what we are going to use today, we are going to use retrofit. So I would just give me a minute. I would just pause this. Dhruv, can you just give me a minute and continue with this part?
Yeah, I'll take from here. So now talking about getting data from HTTP and REST APIs. So REST APIs are like the good to like the APIs like everybody uses around here, and it stands for representational state transfer. And like web services offer this architecture, and those web services are called RESTful services. So like to get something from the REST API, you need to have some request in it, like, and that requests are given through URIs. And the full form of your URI is nothing but uniform resource identifier. It identifies a resource in the server by name without implying its location or how to access it. And the library that we are going to use for having HTTP requests through and calling it from the REST APIs is retrofit. Now Vishesh, if you can
Yeah,
continue.
yeah, sure. Thank you, Dhruv. So this was part of the retrofit API. Now it's not always would be like that. You are going to take some data from particular servers or particular APIs. It's really possible that you can load and display images from directly from internet. So for that part, displaying a photo from web URL, or that is something from a particular source that is unknown to us, or that is publicly available, you can, there is quite simple way of doing that. A bit of engineering might make that work easily. The image has to be downloaded using the internal storage or decoded from its compressed format to an image that Android can use. The image should be cached in the memory. Now for that we have got a lot of tools available, but fortunately you can use a community developer library called coil to download, buffer, decode, and cache your images. There's always a brute force method to use. You can simply go and download that image and add resources and simply add them. That's good. But you can also use that using a community developed library, as I told you, coil. So coil basically needs two things: the URL of the image that you want to load, and an image view object to actually display that image. And believe me, Jetpack make those things really really easy. So moving to the last topic, that is room. So you must be thinking, what is a room? So it's not a particular object; it's a library. The room persistence library adds an abstraction layer to SQLite, allowing for more robust database access while retaining SQLite's full power. So you must be seeing that data part is coming all along. You need to fetch, moderize the data. So how do you save data in a local database using Room? Because that is the main part. So apps that handle a lot of requests from structured data can greatly benefit from persisting that data locally. The most common use case is to cache relevant pieces of data, as most of the apps do that. The user can still browse the content while they are offline, and that is what all our applications are doing. Either that's web applications or Android applications, iOS application, any kind of applications, caching is must. But how do they do it? In Android, it's using Room. The Room persistent library provides an abstraction layer, as I told you, but in particular the three benefits are: compile time verification of SQL queries is really really fast in Room. The convenience annotations that minimize repetitive and error prone boilerplate code is available in the Room persistent library. The streamlined database migrations paths are really easy to go. So you can look at this particular model, this image, and you can get the idea. This is the rest of the app. This is the Room database. The data access objects and the entities are being fetched continuously as a part of data, making things the part of caching really easy. That is the reason whenever you open an app from the previous history, things you see are part of the offline data. How this is how caching and Room database works. So from here, I would request Dhruv to continue and take forward the session.
Yes, thank you, Vishesh. It was a great explanation about coroutines and room database connecting with retrofit library and REST APIs. Now, everyone, like in the last session, we talked about material design and we talked everything about making UIs. And we even developed the UI part of our app, which was the Alphabets app. Now the thing is, now we didn't give any functionality of our app. So in this particular session right now, we'll be giving functionality to our app and see how it's working, and we'll see how to connect different activities and pass data through different activities and see what our app looks like when we run it. So now I'll share my screen and we'll go to the Android Studio and give working to our app. Just a moment. Okay. So I guess now Android Studio should be visible if you can confirm.
Yeah, Dhruv, it's visible. Good to go.
Yeah. So let me give all of you an overview about what we created last time. So we started with creating the strings.xml file. We had every alphabet in it from A to J, like we had only 10 alphabets, but you can obviously add it up to 26 in the strings.xml file. Then we went on to create an arrays.xml file, which had all the words, like for A, we had starting letters starting with words starting with A. For the letter B, we had words starting with the letter B. Similarly, for C, D, E, F till J, we added all the words in this array in our arrays.xml file. Then what we did, we created another activity, the details activity. And in the details activity, we'll be displaying all the words related to that particular letter. Then we had our main activity. So in the main activity this time, we didn't use the frame layout because we only wanted a simpler layout. We didn't want any constraint layouts or any child layouts with it. Only need one layout as the base layout, and we used the recycler view. Why did we use the recycler view? We used a recycler view to have our data in form of a list. So this and our and our view looked something like this up till now. This was our main activity. Then we had our details activity. As I just talked about, we only had a list view because we need all the words in form of list in our details activity. And it looks something similar to this right now. Now in recycler view, the thing is you need a data item along with it to display your data. So we created a item view as well. So for our main activity, we had a list item, and we used linear layout, and we used the material design image button and a card view with it. So these were all the things we talked about in the session 2 according to material design, using card views, using image button, everything we did in the session 2. And our design looks currently like this. So lastly, we created a data item of details as well, and it has only a text view because we need only a text view to display our word. So these UI parts we created. Now let's go ahead and import images in our app, like the images which we need to display each and every letter. So in session 1, we already saw how you can, get drawables from your file browser into your Android Studio in your Android app. Similarly, we are going to do here. We'll go to Resource Manager. We'll click on this plus icon to add drawables to the module. I'll click on import drawables. And as you can see, I already have these images downloaded. For you to get these images downloaded, we already have shared the GitHub repository link in the uh, previous session, and in this session as well we'll be going to share it with you. There in the drawables folder you can find all these images. You need to import all these images. I'm just going till J because that's what I want, and click on next. Select all of the images and click on import. So we have all the images, as you can see, from A B C D E F G H I J K for till J. And when you go into the project and in your drawables folder, you must see that we have all the images in PNG form here. So we have got all our images. Now the thing is, let's talk in detail about the recycler view, which we didn't last time. So recycler view needs three main things. It needs an item like the data item to display the list. So the data item we already created in the list underscore item this we created this list item layout which we need. Then we need an adapter. So you must have heard about this. So adapter takes data and prepares it for the recycler view to display. So adapter is the thing which provides functionality to this recycler view which we have created in our main activity. Then we need view holders. So view holders is a part of the view model which Vishesh discussed, and it provides us a pool of views for our recycler view to reuse and display information basically. And then we obviously need a recycler view to help the views on screen. Now to get each of this part, we'll be creating packages. So why do we create packages? So packages are basically like if we want a data to have a specific order, like a specific class will only have a specific data. For suppose for data classes, you need a different package. For UI, you need different package. Similarly, it's a good practice to have different packages. So we'll create a new package. Now how are we going to create a new package? You just click, like you must be seeing these folders here, right? All these folders. Now you just need to create on click right click on this folder, go to new, and go to package. Now give this package a name model. Now in this model package, we'll create another Kotlin class file, and give this the name alphabets. So why did we give it like this alphabets.kt class? Because This class will help us in modeling our data, like what data is coming and what will be the type of data must be told in this particular class. Like this is modeling our data, so that's why we need this class. Now, as I just talked, we need data in this, like what type of data, so we need to define this class as the data class. So just add the keyword data. Now you can see that it is showing me error. Why? Because we haven't passed any particular arguments in it. It needs a data, like which particular data. So we need two data here. We need first of all that strings.xml values, this alphabets A B C D. We need the alphabets, and we also need images which we have here. So it needs two types of data. So so we need a strings resource file, and we'll give it a name as string resources id, and it will be a form of integer. Another variable that we need is for drawables, like the images. So we need drawables, and let us give it a name as image resource id, like to get the id of those images, and it will be also of type integer. Now you see we don't have any error, and our model class is ready. Now another thing we need is we need another package. Like we had a model package, now we need a data package to actually get our data from our this strings.xml and arrays.xml and all these drawable package. So we'll create another package. Now click on new, go to packages, and give it a name as data because it will have our data. Now we need to create another Kotlin file. I'm giving it a name as data only. So we have data. So in this class, we need a function which will load all our data when we require it. So we'll give it a name for function, as we know the func keyword is used. Then we'll create a function as load alpha, and this will be in a form of list, like all the list will come in this. So I'm going to create a list and alphabets. So as you can see, our alphabets model is imported from the package that we just created. Now we need to provide what things do we need to return in this particular class. So I'm going to do that now, return, and return a list of basically all the alphabets that we provided in our model, and that would be. So what all we do require? We require the alphabets and we require the drawables. So in our alphabets model, we already defined that what things do we require. We require the strings and we require the drawables. So I'm just going to write everything according to our alphabets class that we created. And we require A. As you can see, string resource ID A, and we need and then we need to fetch our drawables. So we need our drawable dot a. So now this tells me that we have a string resource id a, and we also have a drawable image. So it is showing me an error. Now let's see how to work. It shows me required found string. Okay. So what we can do is we can go here and we can see alphabet 6. Okay. We can check from here what. Now the thing is we need all the alphabets. So I'm not going to just copy and I'm just going to now copy and paste everything from here till J. Okay, one second. all dot a, and then what we then I'm just going to change everything. So similarly, just need the drawables. Now, apart from this, alphabets like now again till J I have to do. So we'll look at this later. Now, another thing that we require is the adapter. Like the adapter is to connect our all these three parts together and show the views in the list form in a recycler view. So I'm again going to create a new package, and I'm going to name it as adapter because obviously it has the adapter, and we are going to create the Kotlin file of adapter in this. So we have our Kotlin adapter file ready. So there are a lot of things here to note. Now, first and foremost, we need the context. Like, what do we require? Like, is it coming in this activity or in which activity? So we need to provide that context. So we'll give it a variable name as context, and we have our context ready. Then we need to give it a data set, and that data set is nothing but the list of alphabets that we created. Now this, as you can see, our alphabets are imported. Now the next thing is we need to put this in our recycler view holder. So now view holder will come in handy here. So recycler view dot adapter, and then we need our item view holder. This item view holder we will create right now, and that's it for now, I guess. Now it is showing me an error because we haven't created the item view holder, which will hold everything. So next thing is we'll create our item view holder. So creating our item view holder. Now this particular thing requires a private variable for our view. Let's not define it as recycler view for now because it can be any view. If we can use it anywhere else as well. Just alt enter and import this view, and then give it as recycler view dot view holder and pass on this view. Okay, as you can see, our error has gone. Now another thing is let's have let's get all our text views from our item class basically. So val text view, and we talked about data binding earlier in the session, but now we'll just use find view by id. So let's import this text view as well, and let's find this in our view, this view which we created right now, and it will be in basically what we can say item underscore title, if this is the name that we gave it. I'm not sure. We can check it once. In our list item, we gave the text view as text view. Okay, so this is so I need to change it there. So you need to keep in mind what the id you gave. So let's name it as text view itself. There you go. Another variable which we need is the for image view, like to display each images that we imported. So image view is there. Now one more thing is we need a view. Again, we need to find view by id, click on, and then we need to find our image view. image button or image, I'm not sure. We gave it as image underscore button, so image button would be the ID. Okay, so image button it is. Now, another thing is, like when we are working with adapter, we need a few methods along with it. Like on create view holder, when you create the view holder, on bind view holder, and when our data is finally past the item count, like how many items are there. So we need all these items. So to now we need to individually create all these functions, and like you can create it this, or you can, there are two methods to create it. Either you can, control I, and you can get all these options. Like you need to press control and I, and then you can get all these options for the required import implement members in our adapter, and you can select all and click OK. So we have our on create view holder method. So now let's start working with it. So just remove this to do part, and we'll create an adapter layout basically. So adapter layout, and we'll give this the layout mm, of our parent, which is the main activity, like the recycler view. And from, and then we need to give the parent, and we need to pass our context which we created before. All right. Now we need to inflate this layout. Inflate means to, put this layout on our recycler view. And we can find that recycler view from our layout. And as you can see, we had the list item which we created. So this is where it's coming handy. Like put this list item view on our main activity recycler view, which is nothing but the parent. And then we need to return this view holder as well, and we need to pass in the adapter layout which we just created. So now on create view holder method is ready. It will now list this item on our recycler view in the main activity. Now for the data part, like on bind view. So we are creating the items in it which belongs to the data set, and we need the position of each and every uh, list of our list item in our recycler view. So now we are finding our, like all the layouts. So then again text, I'm again using the same. Now this time we need to put everything, like in this holder text view we need to put this string, in this image we need to put this image. So that is what we are going to do here. And now we need to give the context, we need to provide it with the resources, and then we need to get the string, and we need to put that item string on it. So the string resource ID which we created earlier is now getting used here. Now again we need the image to put that particular image on our image view in the list view item. Now the method here is set image resource, and the item dot image resource ID which we created earlier in the adapter in the model class. Now what we are going to do is we need another thing to pass. Now we will take this image view and put this in our, now we need this image viewer functionality. That is, when we click on this image view we need to get redirected. So how are we going to do that? So to do that, we need to use intents. Like we talked about intents earlier. So intents are nothing but how you navigate from one activity to the another. So similarly, we'll use give functionality. So to give functionality to an image button, just we'll use the on click listener method. So holder dot image view dot set on click listener. We got our listener. Now we'll give any functions to it. So we'll use intent, and basically intent needs the context of our application, and then we require the to which activity do we need to go. So we need to go to the class dot details dot class Java file. Then we need another thing to identify that this is the particular intent that we are talking about. So we need to give any action to it. Like when you click on A, then this particular words related to A should only come. Or when you click on the B image button, the word starting with the B should only come. So to give that, we need to pass something extra with our intents, like something like a secret code to it. So we'll use the text thing basically, and also we are going to give the ID with it, the alphabet ID along with it. And that we can do by using toString. Okay. Now we just need to start this activity. Okay, so our adapter class, another method that requires our adapter class is the get item count. So get item count is nothing but the total number of items, and we need to just return how many items do we require, and that is the data set dot size. All right. So now our adapter class is also ready and our data is also ready. Everything is ready. Now we need to provide functionality to our main activity. So how are we going to do that? So in main activity, first we need to define our layouts. Like this is the particular recycler view that we are talking about. And we also need to give our data also in our main activity. So we'll create my data set in this, and we'll give it the data. We'll call the data file which we created, the data class, and we'll use the load alpha function which we created to load our data. Then we need the recycler view, and for recycler view we'll again use find view by id, and we'll use recycler view in it to specify that we are specifically talking about this recycler view, and the id which I gave was recycler view. All right. So now we need here also to tell that this recycler view will call this adapter which we created. So adapter is equals to adapter, and then we'll give the context of this particular application, and the data set will be my data set which we loaded from our data class which we created here. Okay, so our main activity is ready and our details activity is also ready. The next thing which we require is now the next thing that we require is in our details activity, like to provide function in our details activity. Like now you saw that in our adapter, in the on bind view holder, we give this put extra method along with the intent. So how did now what why does this put what does this put extra method means? So this put extra method means that we are having a text. This is the secret code which is passing between the activities. So we need this text and we are passing the secret text with it. The secret text is nothing but the alphabets A B C D. Now for details activity to know that the intent is coming from the adapter view class, we need to fetch that intent here. How are we going to do this? Now we are creating another variable which will have the text id. So this text id will have our intent, and this is how you fetch an intent from different activities. This is all the basic syntax, and you need that extras, and you need dot get string because we are getting that string from different activity. And as you can see, we need to define this key code here. As you can see, now it will know that the text that we are talking about is coming from the adapter class. Now we need to convert that to string. That's it. Another thing is we need to create all the words and give it an application context to display everything from our resources like the arrays. Now the arrays, now we are having all the words from our arrays to display all the words. So from where are we getting? We are using the r dot array, which we created, basically arrays, array dot words, and we'll use to list as as we need the list. Now we need is, now to check, we'll also create a toast, so that when we click on the word, that toast is also shown. It gives a better look, basically. That's why I use toast a lot. Then we need to pass the text ID, which is nothing but the alphabet that we clicked, and we'll give the length of our toast. I'll keep it short for now and then just show. Another thing is, now we know that all our words are coming in our detail activity, but we need only the word starting with the letter A, or we need only the word starting with the letter B. So we also need to create a filter thing to filter all these words. So I'm going to create a variable for filtering things. Filter words, I will give the name to this variable, and we'll use the built-in filter method, and we'll see how things work in it. So we need now, as you can see, we have an inbuilt method of starts with. So starts with the text ID. Text ID is the alphabet that we are talking about, which is coming from one activity to the another, and we'll ignore the case whether it's capital or small. It doesn't matter to us. And what we can do is we can shuffle all these words as well. Like we have a lot of words, and we'll take only 5 words for each letter, and we'll sort these as well. Now we are done with filtering our words. Another thing which we require is now putting the now for using the list view also, we need an adapter. As I just told, adapter communicates between lists. So we need an adapter for it, and I've created a variable adapter. Now in this array, now in this adapter, it is a array adapter, and it will be of type string. So give it the name as string, and then we need is this r dot layout, and we need to provide which list view, which, like as you saw we created a details item. So this text view needs to display all the words, so we need to provide this layout in it as well. So details item is the layout, and the uh, text that needs to go here is the filtered words. So just use the another parameter as filter words. Now we need our list view, and this list view needs to display, so we need to find it as well. So find view by id, give it list view, and again you need to find that id in our list view. um, did we give it a name list view last time? Let us check. In our details activity, the id which we gave was list view, yes, so we need to give the id as list view. Now we need our adapter to know that this list view needs this adapter. So the last thing is list view dot adapter is equals to adapter. So there our app gets complete, and we don't need anything else from this point. This is what our apps look like. Now let's see what the errors are. So it is showing me that the intent is not probably imported in this. So that is why this is showing an error. We'll again build this, so it should remove. So by the time I'm building this project once again to remove the errors, like this is a good practice that sometimes if you get unnecessary errors, just build it. Like again, rebuild your app. So till then, what you can do is if you can have fill the attendance form, and you can ask the questions in the chat box. Now in a while we'll be letting out the attendance form in the chat box. Also, you can go to our GitHub repository and find each and every uh, code which we have used here, all the images, all the resource file are there in the GitHub repository. The link should be in the live chat and in the description. We'll also be sharing a message after this having all the important links. So that this was the application. Now I'm going to rebuild it and show you that everything is working. um okay, so as you can see, build, you can click on make. Till then, till the app is building, once again I'm once again telling you, you can fill the attendance form, you can find this GitHub repository somewhere else. And what we can do is, we can till then, if you have any doubts or anything, you can ask in the chat. mm, okay, so now I'll once again share my screen and show you that there are no errors this time, and let's see if it works. I think Android Studio would be visible by now. And as you can see, our data class, I just copy pasted everything, and it doesn't have any error with it. And in our adapter also, again on building, I this intent dot put extra, it loaded itself. So these are a few things with Android Studio that you need to know while working, that if there are some unnecessary app, you can just rebuild it. So on now we'll run the app and see if it works or not. It will take a while to build, maybe in the emulator. So you can have your emulator ready, or you can have so it shows me 0 errors found. Let's see if it's installed or not. It's showed me launch succeeded. As you can see, we have our material design card view ready with it. We have all the as you can see, image buttons A, B, C, D, and having all these images along with it. As you can see, uh, we have created till J, so we have only images till J basically. And now let's see the functionality, like working in between activities. So I'll be clicking on this D, image view, and as you can see, we got only 5 words with it, and all are there in form of lists view. And all these are materially designed, like having specific margins, paddings, everything. It is spaced equally, and all these layout things we talked in our previous session. So this was our app. You can find this in the GitHub repository, the link you can find. And now you can fill the attendance form. And this was this session for today. We talked how you can pass data in between activities, and how you can have all the data. So this was it from our side for today. Um, I guess that would be it for now. If you have any doubts, you can ask in the chat. I can't see a lot of doubts here. Mm, we can end the stream basically if there are no doubts. I guess then that's it for today. Thank you, everyone. We can end.